Hi everybody. So I just want to make a speech about my experience at the Sun Moon Dance. I know I'm a little late to this because it's Sun Moon Dance happened last year in the summer. But it's not something that I'm racing against other people. Like other people haven't covered this because it's my experience. So the Sun Moon Dance was held at this Native American sanctuary, place because the Native Americans realized that okay, with the I guess European culture nowadays, they don't really have places to I guess do their rituals because they see that as something very important. Because I guess it is important to them. So the Sun Moon Dance, it was at Birdsong Peace Chamber. Yeah, I've been there for multiple things like sweat lodges, and this was a dance and lasted multiple days. I was not a dancer. Most of the people there were not dancing. It's not a dance like you'd think. It's they have an orchard, what's called an orchard. There's one tree, and it's not a fruit tree. It's like a green tree with leaves, and so they make some trails around the tree, some like trails of I think it was cornmeal, and then they have this whole apparatus around it, like a circular, sort of like an amphitheater, sort of. You're not sitting. There are no chairs. It's like it's all made of wood, and they have drumming. I guess that's their music. The drums. I like drums. So Sunday, I was working in the kitchen because when I wanted to sign up, they said it's a big commitment. Like when you're fasting the whole time. I think it's like 3 days or something. Fasting from food and water and sleep, and I'm not really sure how they. Yeah. But so I would have no problem with the fasting and stuff, but they said it'd be commitment, like you have to, if you do it 1 year, you have to do it for the next 3 years or something, and it costs money. And then they said, oh, a lot of people get involved in the kitchen, and so I said kitchen help, because they said okay, the rest of us were eating for the people who can't eat. So yeah, we set up some ground rules first, dancing to the drums because you'll attract the dancers who are in the meditative state. And uh, so I asked about their pool because they had a pool. So it's not chlorinated, and they said no, it's chlorinated. Because I wonder if they know how bad halides are for your third eye, because I'm sure that's what everyone there is trying to do, open the third eye, or because I think a lot of people there, even though they're all older, I was definitely the youngest one. Um, they might not, know all the stuff because there's a lot to know, and it's hard to know everything. Um, so I was in the kitchen, and they served breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which I was kind of at first, it was really? You're spiritual people, and eating every meal. It's isn't that a cult to eat 3 meals a day? Why? Who gets hungry that much, really? Because there's intermittent fasting, and you realize the human body maybe wasn't designed to always be eating, because when your digestion takes a lot of energy, and you'll just have more energy for other stuff when you're not digesting all the time. I mean, because I'm sure humans throughout history, throughout most of history, we haven't always had, constant availability of abundance of so much food and an extreme variety. And so maybe you just didn't eat one meal a day or 2 meals. Or I recently read a book, it's called The City of Joy, about peasants in Calcutta have to move from their farms, their peasants, so the big city, Calcutta, live in slums. And so they said, yeah, not everybody, there's a certain caste that's able to eat 1 meal a day, and another that eats 2 meals a day, and another, the richest gets 3 meals a day. So I don't think, the human body, a lot of people don't, and think about the whole world, most people don't, I guess, eat that much. He could barely afford, like they said, a tree, bananas, and banana leaves. Or they built a lot of rice in the story, mostly rice, and they said it didn't taste good. It was just like ground up pulverized rice, and they just need something to stay alive. So back to the sun moon dance. My experience was when they ate a lot and they didn't always have the best food. I mean, the thing about opening a third eye is don't eat any processed food, like food that isn't really food, that isn't really food. If it didn't exist before the Industrial Revolution, really the Agricultural Revolution, but so I eat wild apples if I see them. Like one time I was just outside and I saw this wild apple tree, a couple fruits fell. I mean, they were small, not like what you buy at the stores, but I ate them, like, yeah. So it's like, farmer, put away your DDT. I don't care about spots on my apple. Leave me the birds and the bees, please. So in the sun moon dance, I mean, they said we were fasting from technology, but I'm like, yeah, so at the beginning, I put my phone in the basket because everyone was putting their phones in the basket, so we're not tempted to, like, use them. Because, I mean, phones, like, really, there's an addiction that's not healthy. And at first, like, I had my phone the first day, but they said, so are you just using this to entertain yourself? And no, I was using it to learn other languages. I use Duolingo, the app. I love Duolingo. I'm not plugging this. I have no connection to Duolingo. It's just a good. Their mission is to make learning free and fun, and it's really an amazing gift. Now that we have the technology, we might as well use some of the better aspects, like Duolingo. So, yeah, I was just using my phone to learn other languages, practice the other the Russian, Romanian, and Hebrew, and because you need to practice like every day if you want to learn a language. If you take just one day off, or maybe not one day off, but if you don't practice it a lot frequently, then it's you're not gonna learn it. So they saw me with my phone and she was like, are you just using this to entertain yourself? And it's like, no, they probably thought because of my size, they just judged me on my size, how I look. They thought, like, I'm that typical kid who just is doing all the Snapchat and Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Um, and now the only social media I do is Facebook, and I don't even do, I guess, what most people do. I just do, like, groups, public groups that are, like, based on Wiccan, witchcraft, and the vegan support group, Pagan Daily News, Astrology Answers, Dream Talk. So for, like, real reasons and just to know about events that are going on. Yeah, I kind of understand. My old friend Akash, he said anything that's not for work or school is spam. It just sounds kind of extreme, but once you think about it, it's like, that's why he didn't want to take my number, like, because he doesn't really use his phone, or, yeah, yeah, I guess they're the type of people that like to be more themselves, and, yeah. I mean, he told me he doesn't do anything unless, if it's less than a 1 in 10 chance of something going wrong. That's like, I guess he done too much. Sun Moon Dance, yeah. So they want to take away my phone, and yeah, I gave it up because, I mean, I've done days before where I just don't use my phone. It's bad. So then I saw her using her phone, and she was like, I don't want you to think this is like, this is ironic, this is being a hypocrite, because I'm using this for communication, and I mean, so was I. Like, if I needed to get to my parents, or, I mean, I didn't expect, like, they said, at, at the end of or after a day, like, the next day, she was like, how long are you planning to stay? Because I guess they didn't think I'd be one to stay the whole time. Not everyone stays the whole time, but no, I was gonna stay the whole time. Like, I didn't have any other obligations. Yes, the other people had to work, and, you know, I was free. It was summer, so yeah. Then they wanted me to. They said, "Get your phone," because I called my parents to let them know that I'm staying. And okay, that was the one time I was gonna use the house phone at their house, and, you know, they didn't recognize the number. My mom, she doesn't pick up if she doesn't recognize the number. So they wanted me to go. I had to walk to this room where they were keeping all the phones. So I walked to the, like, chanting room where all the phones were, and I took it back to the house because they had Wi-Fi. And so eventually I kept trying to call them, and eventually my mom recognized the number. So we got to talk, and she was like, when I told her we were fasting from technology, like, I didn't have my phone until that moment, she was like, well, that's kind of a problem if we need to get to you. So, yeah, that was the thing about the phones. And then they ate a lot of the meals. I remember I was talking about an ego death. That's a big thing. They talk about ego deaths. Oh, there are different, like, I guess I read that book in Multicultural Lit, Siddhartha, about, in the traditional Hindu religion, I guess it's realizing that you're about the ego, like, realizing that there's all this stuff that people acquire throughout life, but you are not the things that you have, that you own. Like, you might own a big house or big yacht, or you might be a really good dancer. You might take pride in your ability to dance, and might take pride to be better at other people at like martial arts and stuff. But or you feel bad that you're not good at martial arts, or that you feel bad that you're fat. But no, it's about realizing that you are not those things. So I talked about ego death, and I mean, I was surprised it kind of took a while for people, for this woman. She was like, he kept saying an ego death. I don't really know what that is. I was like saying that over and over again for at least 2 minutes, and she finally said, well, it's not like one big death, it's a bunch of little deaths over and over and over. Which is definitely true with a lot of things. It's a process, incremental growth. Like, fixed mindset isn't really, just like, I'm not a good test taker. I'm not good at basketball. I'm not good at whatever. Practice incremental workouts. So the meals, I was surprised they had like chicken and fish and non-vegan stuff, the cow's milk, and yeah, so I was like, I mean, like, you're still eating sentient animals. You consider yourself so spiritual or whatever. This is supposed to be peace song, or the bird song Peace Chamber, about total peace, but what about to the animals and animal agriculture that are being terrorized? Like, why do you have to eat the flesh of animals? Why do you feel we're not gonna die we're not gonna die without eating animals? Like, we don't need to. It's unnecessary, and it's really bad for the environment. So it's like, why do it? Stupid. It costs a lot. It's the cause of pretty much all the bad habits of humanity. I see no reason. It's like, and at the end of the time we stayed, they wanted me to make a spirit plate, because every meal they make a plate for the spirits where they just take food and they take a sample from all the things and all the foods, and they put it on a plate and they just set the plate out for the spirits. And it's like, yeah. And I'm like, they kind of do a lot of stuff that's like this one time we made prayer ties where they take tobacco or wheatgrass, or not wheatgrass, sweetgrass or whatever herb, and they tie it into a bag and they string them along a rope, a string, and as they're making it, they blow their prayers into the bag, and so they tie it up, and then they hang it around the arbor, and it's like, that's kind of, I mean, if it's something you enjoy doing when you feel it's really important to you, but no, it's like, I mean, I didn't like it because, I guess I don't have the best fine motor skills, and it's just annoying. I mean, there's so much prayer they do. It's like, God. I mean, it's like, keep your feet on the ground when your head's in the clouds. Keep your feet on the ground when your head's in the clouds, because I'm sure a lot of them I was talking to, they just are they love this feminine, spiritual world. They love to be on this different plane. Like, when we went to the meals, like, when they don't even realize that it's unnecessary to eat the animals, and it's like, why? And I'm sure when we were making spirit plates, the spirits, when people are a spirit, they don't need food or drink. Like, wouldn't that kind of be offensive to try to make food for them. Like, I mean, I understand that, like, once a year when there's Samhain, Halloween, I put out a soul cake for the fairies or a thoth or whatever. But, you know, I don't waste too much food. It's like, keep your feet on the ground when your head's in clouds, because I'm sure a lot of these people, they don't realize there's, I mean, you need both the feminine and the masculine. The masculine's about staying grounded, because if you don't understand, like, the science behind everything, the actual mechanics of how things work in real life, it's not gonna work. Like, I read Aleister Crowley's autobiography. He said, when you're, like, doing a ritual with electricity or whatever, where you're supposed to feel electricity, you need to understand the feeling, the feminine aspect, but also the masculine aspect. The science of how those things work. So yeah, a lot of them were saying, when I talked about my nose, they were like, "You realize those are alternate hemispheres, like right to left and left to right." I was like, "Yeah, but you don't realize my nose at the time before I got nose surgery is really fucked up. So I had the I had the problem. My deviated septum, extremely deviated, where it's like 90% on the right, and I could barely breathe on my left. Really deviated. So, yeah, he said I was like the worst case he'd ever seen, the doctor. So I'm sure a lot of these people are like, they talk about, I remember I was overhearing them talk about when this guy made all these poems, and you realize he could make a lot more money if he said, like, they're about the Druids, and because everyone loves a sob story, and yeah, so I think a lot of these people, they're not always grounded people. So what else? We did the sun moon dance. What else happened? Oh no, a lot of them didn't understand my yoga. Like, it wasn't traditional yoga. Because I do Qigong. I think that's better, like Chinese yoga. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them just don't realize, they don't know, but I mean, some of them are fat, which is kind of like, what are you doing to your body? Isn't being spiritual about being nice to your body? So it's like, ugh. So one guy, he did want to ask about my yoga, because I mean, every day in the morning, I do kind of some martial arts, or like kicking, high kicks. Unfortunately, I'm not as coordinated enough I'm just not ready for the, in Taekwondo, my Taekwondo classes, they want us to do kicks, like, if there was another person, we'd be kicking above their head, and I'm not tall like everyone else, so, yeah, or I'm not flexible enough, or whatever, kicking above their head, or they want it to be very exact. So that at the Sun Moon Dance, they were curious about my yoga, and wasn't like real yoga. They didn't realize every day I was doing, because I didn't really have anything else to do, I was doing Qigong, a certain Qigong set I knew, the Golden Lotus Qigong. I'm sure, I mean, it's not their fault for not knowing it, because, I mean, it's kind of obscure and stuff, but they see me every day. I'm doing, like, these movements of Tai Chi and Qigong, and he said off to the side, because I mean, I'm sure really spiritual people, they do it in a group every day, like a daily habit. But so God, I forgot his name, but this one guy was curious about my yoga, just a little inkling then. So I showed him some stuff, and he eventually said, well, he, I guess, had an epiphany that he had all these amethyst crystals with him. And I mean, at the one of the dinners, like, I was telling him how I was at this spiritual or this class where the woman at the end, she wanted us all to pick a tarot cards, which are all based on different crystals. So I chose 2 cards, and so she said the crystals I'm supposed to get are amethyst and lapis lazuli. And he saw me, I had a bracelet made of amethyst, and yeah, so he realized, like, amethyst, if he has all these amethysts, then he should at least give me one. Because eventually he said, I realized you are a master, because he really liked my stuff. And so yeah, I mean, I was just like, all you need to do, one of the best moves is just, because your body is a dirty sponge or washcloth, and you just collect all the dirty energy from your environment or the people you hang out with, or pollutants in the air, or toxins in food, like the hormones in the chicken, and the bad stuff that's in the. I mean, the reason I'm not eating it isn't because the drug residues or hormones or whatever, the antibiotics. It's because there's no reason. It's unnecessary, bad for the environment. Yeah, I'm sure. Like, when they talked about my veganism, because they didn't ask me at first, like, what do you eat? They said, or one time they found out I was vegan because I was like, or they said, you're spending too much time in the sun, so go inside. And so I was chilling on the couch, and they wanted to talk to me, and it was like, there's one person in my dad's family that's vegan, and they were like, oh, are you vegan? And so apparently I was the only vegan, because the very next day they brought out almond milk, not just milk. And I was kind of disappointed after I ate the granola cereal. Uh, they were like, I overheard them say it's soaked in whey before selling, because I'm sure most people, they think things only taste good when we have animals, because animal fat, like, eh. And yeah, if I knew, I wouldn't have. Yeah. So maybe that's why oatmeal tastes better once it's soaked in almond milk. Um, I mean, processed food again. What else happened? So they found out I was vegan, and yeah, the next meal they made a big deal about. Like, they announced, okay, there's vegetarian and vegan. I think there was like one vegetarian or a couple of vegetarians. Where the guy who, like, leads he's the worker there, like, he's supposed to be, the leader of all the ceremonies and stuff. I mean, he isn't the Native American, that guy who's somewhere else writing books. He writes a lot of books. Joseph Rail. But so Kevin, the, I guess, administrator, sort of, like, it's not administration, but that's what you call him, the chief, I guess, or So I guess he feels he has to be a vegetarian because, other animals eating the flesh of other organisms. And about the spirit plate, I'm sure if they do want food, which I'm like, once they're in spirit, they don't need food or water. I mean, maybe make other offerings of origamis or. I mean, I made one origami, an origami crane, because I guess they don't know about origamis. Uh, they said, okay, we'll put this on our altar as offerings, because I'm sure you make offerings of food isn't really. They like pinwheels or to make other offerings of things you make. Food. I mean, did you do any work to get that food? Like, you didn't kill the animals. You didn't go out hunting. You just bought it out whatever package it was packaged. You just had it manufactured by the farms, the factory farms, because it's a farm, it's a factory. It's not a farm, it's a factory. And if you see like, the advertisements, like a Happy Cow or Fairlife or on the milk cartons, there's a image of this old timey farm, but with the cows just grazing in their pastures. No, it's a fantasy. Those things don't really happen. It's a factory, not a farm. So again, about Sundance. They said I spend too much time in the sun because, and I don't think anyone else was sun gazing. Was immediate sun gazing just whenever the sun's really low on the horizon and it doesn't bother your eyes. But yeah, there were a lot of Reiki teachers there, like yoga teachers, yoga therapists, they called them. Yeah, what else? So at the end, it didn't rain the whole time I stayed there, but I mean, so finally when they were finished the dancing, it did thunder and lightning and storm, and they said the thunder beings or the rain beings have heard our cries, because, I mean, I've read a Medicine Man book about, he said that whenever a big event, at the end of a big event like that happens, there's a heavy masculine rain. So, I mean, just the people do a lot of stuff, exert energy, and all of a sudden there's big downpour. So they really liked my origami crane, and I remember this one night there were fireworks we heard, because we were all camping in tents, staying in tents. So I lied down to go sleep one night, and I guess somewhere nearby they were doing fireworks, because, I don't know, people just like fire, and they blow up a lot of shit for no reason, because pollution, and but people just, they like the loud sounds or whatever. So the next day I was asking Kai, hey, did you hear the gunfire last night? Or I thought it was gunfire, and he was like, maybe you need to hear it, because, I mean, sometimes you do just hear stuff, like, but, so it was the fireworks, so, sun moon dance, what I get out from it, keep your feet on the ground, your head's in the clouds, guys. Yeah, definitely staying grounded is an important thing. And I think it's a bit much with like the prototypes and that how they want to tie like hundreds, or how it's kind of work, especially when your fine motor skills aren't that great. Like I was tying it, it's hard. I took at least 10 tries to try to get the rope around it, um, have it securely fastened. This is already long enough. I think that's all I want to talk about, guys. Bye.